One, two. So I have two monitors, and I've heard you speaking to her, and I've heard some people that mic's coming up good. If you ever want to monitor anything, this is the feed.
Great. I can like put it on and I can hear.
Yeah, just have to check it out from now. And give me a little bit of. Everything else that's going to come through with them is going to be a little bit better.
Okay.
I hope.
It's not bad. So, it's a little bit, staticky, but it's...
Is it?
Just not a ton. It's like white noise.
Are we going to be in earshot of whatever you're filming for the Zoom people? Does it matter what we say, or is it all on mics?
No, we're not picking it up. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, you're good.
Again, this high.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Alex Sosa. I think a lot of you have met me through emails. I'm the director of the Simkin Center here at State University. So glad to see everyone. My name is Annie Kennedy. I have in front of me from the city of Seattle a proclamation. Whereas today we honor the remarkable life of Penny Simkin, whose dedication to childbirth education and advocacy for trauma-informed care transformed the lives of thousands in Seattle. And whereas born on May 31st, 1938, Penny Simkin devoted over 50 years of her life to childbirth education, preparing more than 15,000 others, 15,000 mothers, birth givers, partners, spouses, and family members for childbirth in home, birth centers, and medical facilities throughout Seattle. And whereas Penny Simkin's Labor Progress Handbook has been a critical resource for maternity care providers, offering essential guidance on supporting birth givers, transforming maternity care practices, and filling educational gaps in the medical field. Whereas Penny Simkin Labor Progress Handbook, whereas as peer advocate for trauma-informed emotional support during childbirth, Penny Simkin co-founded a doula movement both in Seattle and internationally, championing a model of care that emphasizes emotional well-being and support for birth givers. And whereas Penny Simkin's unwavering support for midwifery care, home birth, and excellence in midwifery and doula education in Seattle and Washington State has deeply shaped the practices of maternal health and the education of birth workers. And whereas the city of Seattle recognizes Penny Simkin's outstanding contributions of maternal health and unwavering commitment to improving the lives of those in our community, continuing to inspire all of us who have the privilege of knowing her. Now therefore, I, Bruce Harrell, Mayor of Seattle, do hereby proclaim September 7th, 2024 to be Penny Simkin Day. So before we get started, and this is something that many of you who are in this field, as trainers and as providers, you always begin with house maintenance items. So the first thing that I need to tell you is that we do have restrooms, and the restrooms are located when you exit. You may go right all the way down, and once you reach the end, you're going to make a left, and the restrooms are right there. We also have asked that throughout the celebration today, we ask for no applause. We also ask that you could kindly silence your cell phone, and if you're able to put your phone on airplane mode, we would greatly appreciate it. Why is that important? Today's celebration is being live cast around the world. We have over 600 people joining us. So we really appreciate it, so we're not competing with technology. And after the celebration is over, we are going to have a community gathering, and we feel that this was so important. I'm seeing faces that I haven't seen in years. I want to call it way before pre-COVID. So some of our hairstyles and grades have changed. So I think it's important that we all get together. This is the work. One of the things that I'm proud about this work is that this is not the work that we do by ourselves, and that's something that we instill in our students. We are a village. So once the celebration is over, we're going to have a community gathering. You'll see name tags, so if you could write your name, so as you meet people, you're able to meet each other with your names. If you haven't seen an old friend, hug them and kiss them. If there's someone that you have never seen before, introduce yourself. One thing that we wanted to do to honor Penny is that we made cookies. We made chocolate chip cookies and Reese's peanut butter cup cookies. And those will be at the community gathering. We did create a batch for gluten-free cookies. And you will also see Reese's peanut butter cups as well. So just want to put that in there, and I'd like to invite Dr. Devin Bird, our university president, for his welcoming remarks.
Well, how difficult is it to follow Reese's peanut butter cookies and chocolate chip? Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Each of you is our distinguished guest. It is an honor to be in fellowship with you as we commemorate Penny Simkin's life and the legacy she bestowed on us and to the world as a childbirth educator. Back in 2009, the Simkin Center merged with Bastyr University. Here, the sacred mission of revolutionizing maternity care and care for pregnant people carries on. I'm Devin Bird. As president of Bastyr University, I encounter our students in many disciplines, and of course, in the allied birth careers. The faces I see of future birth and postpartum doulas, midwives, and maternal child care providers reflect our community and nearly all its cultures, as well as our traditions. It is, in part, because of the Simkin Center Leadership Fund Merit Scholarships, designed to increase the number of birth professionals from strategically undervalued communities, including low-income, ethnic, cultural, and communities of color, to emphasize our commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, as well as belonging. As a father of three, Penny's commitment to compassionate and human-centered care has reached me in a very profound and personal way. I see the value. I am grateful for Penny's work and the work of so many of you who are here with us today. Now, I need to brag just a little bit. Thanks to Penny's guidance and support, the Simkin Center at Bastyr University is the largest and the longest running program of its kind in America. More than 10,000 students have left here to become leaders in their birthing professions. Penny taught our students up until 2022. Today, the name Simkin Center represents a pathway forward for aspiring midwives, maternal child care providers, as well as doulas. At Bastyr University, we provide higher education with a focus on health and care. Compassion and excellence are values interwoven in everything that we teach. Penny Simkin held these values dear as well. They are the thread that binds us as we continue to serve the human community. It is clear to me, like ripples in the water, Penny's work continues to create very positive impact for birthing people, babies, and children, and those in the allied birthing careers. I see this every day and want to acknowledge the invaluable contributions of the faculty, staff, students, and supporters of the Simkin Center. Together, I know we will carry forward and expand Penny's spirit, a compassionate excellence in human-centered care, the allied birthing vocations. Thank you, and thank you again for being here today. The energy in this space is filled with warmth, kindness, and tremendous intelligence. Thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming. I'm Simkin. These are my sisters here in New Jersey. Who comes to us. We're going to play for you a song that I wrote for Mom's 70th birthday. It's a surprise party for her 70th birthday. And I rewrote it for the baby's birthday. I didn't imagine the time singing here. But here goes. It's called Penny. Penny, the daughter and sister began in a quaint little village in Maine. Grew up being Penny the swimmer, Penny the swimmer, Penny the rain. Penny in college was shy and retiring, looking for places to hide. Till a tall, gangly senior turned her from Penny the poet to Penny the bride. Penny and Peter stepped out of Swarthmore to see what the world had in store. Seemed like a couple of weeks later she turned into Penny, the mother of four. Penny, the doctor's wife, dutifully followed him, backing her family in tow. Did a job in Seattle, laid down some roots that could find childbirth educator from Pittsburgh. She is one of the best and one of the first DONA trained doulas. But more importantly, she was one of Mom's closest friends. Mom loved traveling to do workshops with Kathy. They would share a hotel room, inspire on the latest birth innovations, share family stories, and giggle like schoolgirls. Kathy brings the warmth and humility that this moment calls for, and we couldn't think of a better person to guide us through this day. Welcome, Kathy McGrath. That was wonderful. Thank you. I want to say that by far the hardest part of writing this talk was putting it in the past tense. I can't cry. I guess what we wanted to use it is instead of quotes. Also in the program, it lists me as Penny's best friend, BFF, and I'm humbled and honored and so grateful to have been given that designation. There are several others who share that with me. Few that come to mind are Amy Kennedy and Sadie's life. And there may be others. Penny had great friends because she was a great friend. That being said, I do believe I'm the only one who got away with calling her Toots. So Penny, if you're listening, this one's for you. One second. It's hard to follow that. Penny Simkin was the most simple and most complicated person I've ever met. She was absolutely brilliant, yet completely unpretentious. She lived simply, didn't wear makeup, kept the same hairstyle her whole life. She wore sensible shoes. She wore her glasses on a chain around her neck. And her office was in a basement. And yet, she changed the world. In the early 1990s, when I was just coming up in the birth world, Penny graciously invited me to participate in one of the earliest doula training workshops, which was to be held 2 days preceding the DONA conference. That's what Penny did. She brought people along and gave them a leg up. I'll bet some of you have a story about how Penny did something similar for you, created some kind of opportunity where you could shine. I was so thrilled to be asked to do it, even though I had just a very small part. At the end of the training, Penny had just a short time to get back to her hotel room to change clothes and freshen up before going to the conference where she was to be the opening speaker. I asked her if there was anything I could do to help her. And she rather hesitantly said, well, if you really mean it, I'd love to take a quick shower, and perhaps you could iron my blouse. It got wrinkled in my suitcase. Gasp. Me. I was going to go up to Penny Simkin's actual hotel room, and I was going to get to iron her actual blouse. I couldn't believe my good fortune. I couldn't believe I was going to be in the room with her, in the proximity of somebody so incredibly cool. I actually got really teary as I ironed her blouse. Looking back, I'm amused I was so overcome by getting to be near Penny. Amused but not surprised. Lots of people react that way. At conferences and gatherings, when doulas saw Penny for the first time, they were awestruck. They'd point and whisper. They'd gush and take selfies with her. They'd introduce family members to her and show her pictures of their own babies. I did it too, and she always happily obliged. Penny never got too caught up in the acclaim. She appreciated the recognition even if she didn't quite understand it. It did bring her great joy and satisfaction that her work was appreciated and put to use. Many years ago, I was on a committee with Penny to update the doula training manuals. She sent the agenda, which listed the following. Number 1,
Review and update manuals. Number 2, confirm dates for upcoming trainings. Number 3, improve maternity care for every person in the U.S. and the world. That was Penny. She loved me. She didn't just hope things got better or try to figure out temporary band-aids to ameliorate big problems. Oh no. She would deep dive into the very heart of the matter and put her energy there. It didn't matter how daunting or seemingly insurmountable the issue was, she was willing to try, because the one thing that Penny Simkin could not do was to stand by when she thought she could make a difference. That didn't mean she was always confident that her endeavors would succeed. Far from it. But she was always willing to give it a shot, because she deeply, truly believed that, as the Quaker saying goes, the way will open. The way will open. It means that there's times in life when you do what you feel called to do simply because it's the right thing. You do it with hope that some good will come out of it. It's a true leap of faith. I think of it as Penny's motto. It requires conviction, perseverance, resilience, and sometimes just plain stubbornness. And Penny had all of that, and more. Many of you who knew her well at some point got a call or a text or had been to some kind of a get-together where Penny would announce, rather gleefully, "I have an idea." It was a signal to hold on tight, because whatever was coming next was likely to be a doozy. In the very early days, it might have been something like, "We need to convince hospitals to encourage people to get out of bed while in labor." Or even better, "We need to encourage hospitals to encourage women, people in labor to get out of bed and gently bounce on gigantic vinyl balls." As she gained fame and influence, her ideas got bigger and better. Penny worked incredibly hard. I visited Seattle many times, and she visited me in Pittsburgh as well. No matter how early I got up, Penny was already working. I could still picture her, still in her nightgown robe, with a cup of coffee in one hand and a professional paper or journal in the other, and she was usually whistling. She was very conscientious about staying up to date on research and trends in maternity care. And then, and this was a huge benefit to non-researchers like myself, she was able to make extremely complex information available to the masses, to make it understandable and usable. It was one of her greatest gifts. Penny was always thinking outside the box. The notion that it's always been that way didn't sway her in the slightest. For example, many years ago, Penny was attending a conference which had a large exhibit hall with all things maternity on display. One of the exhibitors was from the company that made the boarding hospital there. Penny was talking to the rep, had one of our "I have an idea" moments, and on the back of an envelope sketched what is now known as the birthing bed, complete with a breakaway bottom and a squatting bar. She presented it to the rep and explained the advantages over traditional hospital beds, and the rest is history. Variations of that bed are now in virtually every modern hospital in the world. Penny wore many hats, but one of her favorites was being a childbirth educator. You know, I stopped teaching for a little while a few years ago. And Penny said, she was almost never stern, but with her stern voice said, "No, you have to get back into it." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because teaching makes you honest." She taught classes for over 50 years, well into her 80s. And as you've already heard, more than 15,000 singles, couples, and kids were lucky enough to take classes with her. Throw in several thousand doulas that she trained, some people that she counseled, quite a few, and you've got some really respectable numbers. Early in her teaching career, she was invited, or perhaps summoned, to speak to a group of obstetricians about what she was teaching in her childbirth classes. After her presentation, she was challenged by one of the doctors. And what are your credentials? And what makes you think you know so much? To which she answered, in her penny way, well, I can read. One of the better-known concepts that Penny came up with is the 3 R's. Relaxation, rhythm, and ritual. Many doula knows those. It was brilliant in its simplicity. It was originally called the essence of coping, which explained her theory that coping while in labor almost always includes those 3 things. Rhythm is everything, she used to say. If you can help a birthing person find rhythm, then you know they're doing all right. Funny story about that. One night when we were sharing a hotel room at a conference, San Francisco, I think, it became apparent from the sounds emanating from the room next to ours that there was a couple being, shall we say, amorous. Bang, 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 ball. Started out being a little embarrassing when we turned up the TV to try to drown it out, but it didn't help. After what seemed like a ridiculous amount of time, it went from slightly embarrassing to downright hilarious. And through tears of laughter, Penny proclaimed, well, rhythm is everything. That's my girl. Penny was a leader in the field of maternity care. No one could argue that. But her style of leadership was different than most. Typically, leadership involves a hierarchy of some sort and an attitude of, I know more than you. Penny's leadership was different. It was based on a strong commitment to inclusiveness, to advocacy, to raising people up, the polar opposite of a hierarchy. She certainly didn't seek leadership, but her philosophy was, if I have it, I want to do right by it. And yet, despite her humility, she, as we know, garnered innumerable accolades and worldwide respect. Many have expressed times when they were stuck and would ask themselves, what would Penny do? I sure did. For a while, DONA even sold pins that said WWPD. The beloved Mr. Rogers, whom might I add is a fellow Pittsburgher, once said, there are 3 ways to ultimate success. The first way is to be kind. The second way is to be kind. And the third way is to be kind. And that was Penny, kind through and through. Even when she was mad, she was kind. Once when we were on a road trip together, somebody rather rudely blew the horn at me. And Penny said, sometimes when I get mad at other drivers, I give them the finger. But I do it under the dashboard so they don't get upset. Penny and I, as the 2 doula mentors, we were called that because trainer of trainers was too much of a mouthful. We taught many workshops together. And because many of them were 2-part trainings with a conference in the middle, we would spend 8 or 9 days together 24/7. I loved every minute of it, and I think she did too. We laughed a lot. We told each other things we had never shared with another human being. We talked about our lives, our work, our kids, our dreams, our successes, and our failures. One of the greatest gifts of my life was to have that much one-on-one time with Penny. One of my favorite things is that she sometimes practiced her talks on me. I loved it when she would say, can I read you something? Yes, please. When I say half of what I know came from Penny, I am not exaggerating. I used to joke that I should get continuing education credits for sleeping with her. Some of you have heard me say that before. Penny acted embarrassed, but several times she said to me, are you going to tell them what about the CEUs? So I know she was tickled. Penny was extraordinarily generous with her time, her talents, and her intellectual property. She gave her materials, notes, slides, handouts to just about anybody that asked, even though she put countless hours into creating them. I often asked her if she ever got upset when she saw her work being used without acknowledgement. Her response was always, "No, I'm just happy it's out there. If it helps somebody, it was worth it." The thing she was most proud of and that brought her the greatest joy was, of course, her family. Starting with Peter, her great love. They were each other's champions and greatest supporters. Together they raised 4 kids, all born in a 5-year span. Yes, you heard me right. They created a loving, music and book-filled home where each person found their own path to happiness and success. Each of their 4 children, Andy, Lainey, Mary, and Lizzie, are superstars in their own right. Each one continues the Simkin legacy of social justice, environmental, and social activism. Penny was immensely proud of their accomplishments, of which there are many, but more importantly, of the people they are. They're just really good people. She also loved being a grandmother. Her grandkids, and now great-grandkids, called her Gummy. At some point along the way, I very stupidly asked, "Gummy? I don't think I'd want to be called Gummy." To which she replied, "You would if your grandchildren said it." I'm much wiser now. And by the way, my grandchildren, as well as all their friends and neighbors, call me Gibby. One of Penny's MOs was to bring people together to work on projects. People of all nationalities, cultures, languages, age groups, genders, and life experiences. Many of those get-togethers took place around Penny's dining room table. I viewed that dining room as kind of a sacred, magical place. Not only was it the gathering place for family meals and lively conversation, it was also a place where people came together to share ideas and work. I can't help but reflect on how many meetings, groups, colleagues, and friends spent time at that table. I'm sure some of you did. Think about how much extraordinary work happened around that table. Quite frankly, I think the table should be donated to the Smithsonian. Since her passing, I've been struck by the number of people, including me, who said that in many ways Penny felt like a mother figure to them. It was much more than age or life experience. She mothered so many of us. She nurtured us, supported us, truly wanted what was best for us. Goodbyes were always hard because we didn't know how long it would be before we saw each other again. My last phone call with her, which was not many days before she passed, I said, we were saying goodbye knowing we were really saying goodbye. And I said through tears, well, I guess I'll see you on the other side. To which she replied, I will look forward to that. Me too, my friend. Me too. Which takes us back to the beginning of my career when I thought ironing her gloves was the pinnacle of my career. I didn't know the half of it because I didn't meet with Penny, the real Penny. I couldn't have imagined how deep our friendship would become. I couldn't have imagined the wacky adventures and laughter and tears we shared. I couldn't have imagined what an integral part of my life she would become. So here's the thing. If she were here, I would still cry ironing her blouse. But now the tears would be tears of gratitude. I can still hear Penny's voice saying, the window will open. When I look back at my life and career, yes, it did. What I now know is that Penny was the one holding the door open for me. She was the way. One of Penny's teachings was to remember to protect the memory. My hope is that today and going forward, each of you will protect and cherish the memories you have of Penny with admiration and love and gratitude for the extraordinary gift of her life. I'd like to end with a poem. It was read at my mother's funeral some 45 years ago, and I have it framed in her bedroom. I think it might be what Penny would be saying to us if she were here. The author is Barely Home. If I should die and leave you here a while, be not like others, sore, undone, who keep long vigils by the silent dust and weep. For my sake, turn again to life and smile, nerving thy heart and trembling hand to do something to comfort weaker hearts than thine. Complete these dear unfinished tasks of mine, and I, perchance, may therein comfort you.
Hello. Welcome to you all. Thank you for being here to celebrate the life and work of Penny Simkin, my mom. My name is Mary. Of Penny's 4 children, I'm her 3rd born. My siblings and I are joined here today by our spouses and several of Penny's grandchildren and even 2 great-grandchildren, Harrison and the namesake Penny. My mom obviously was a present figure. She was the kind of person who changed thousands of lives with her creative and common sense ideas, her tenacious spirit, her compassion, her humility, her generosity, and her sense of justice. You'll hear from other speakers today who can describe the life and impact of that Penny Simkin. My task is to share with you who she was as a mom before she became a person. As Kathy said, we 4 children were born within 5 years. So Andy was 4 and a half when Lizzie was born. Ours was a loving, if somewhat chaotic, family home. Ill-trained pets underfoot, couch cushions all over the living room floor, dishes piling up in the kitchen sink, dog poops accumulating on the front lawn. Because she was married to a busy medical resident and young doctor, the work of childbearing fell mostly to mom. It was probably too big a job for one person, but not for Penny. She threw herself into it, and she did it brilliantly. We were free-range kids, to be sure, running feral all over the neighborhood, like Mom herself had done as a child. But when we heard the dinner bell chime from the back patio, we dutifully raced home, cleaned up, regrouped, shared a meal, and connected as a family. When we were very young, Mom started us in Suzuki music lessons, violin, piano, and cello. They gave her a structured daily practice time to spend with each of us individually. She started an after-school science club at our elementary school because she thought more could be done to get kids excited about science. She was the person who cared for us when we were sick and let us stay home for the occasional mental health day even when we weren't. Her capable hands made waffles on Sunday mornings, built go-karts, rabbit hutches, and bedroom shelves, and gave the most amazing backwards. She said yes to every pet we ever wanted. We had turtles, we had hamsters, gerbils, guinea pigs, rabbits, of course cats and dogs, and even a baby robin who'd fallen from his nest. She spent months collecting treasures every year to assemble truly epic Christmas stockings for us well into our adult years. The best part about Christmas. She taught us how to skip rocks on the shore. And she shared her love of the natural world with us on hiking and camping adventures. Sorry, and I can't wait. When we were in high school, Mom drove us to swim practice at 5 a.m. and cheered loudly for us from the bleachers at swim meets. Without complaining, she also dragged herself out of bed, often well after midnight, to pick us up from high school parties so that we wouldn't ride with someone who may have been drinking. When I would call her in tears from college, overworked and overwhelmed, she calmly helped me create step-by-step plans to get my work done. Kathy alluded to this too. She was never without a song in her heart. And she whistled to both our delight and irritation. Constantly. And through her quiet example, she showed us how to live useful lives of service, how to be working parents, and how to create homes full of love for our own families. Mom taught us to be honest and humble, generous and genuine. She supported us, she believed in us, she worried about us, and she and Dad gave the four of us to each other. Mom cherished us and we cherished her. We miss her so very dearly.
Hello, thank you, Mary. Thank you, Kathy. I'm Lizzie. I'm the baby. It's always, kind of a strange moment when a kid realizes that their mom is a person. And it's kind of an extended moment that grows and changes. And our mom was really quite a person, it turns out, in addition to being wonderful. It was kind of clear now when we discovered her illness and the word got out. We received so many cards. And there was a recurring theme that came in a variety of different ways. She changed my life. She saved my life. She helped steer me towards living a life that I love. She connected so deeply in this way that Kathy's talking about mothering everyone. It was just who she was. And when she was dying, I asked her, "When were you resolved?" She said, "Honey, I had a wonderful life." And it was just purely true and such a relief to all of us. And it's all of these threads of connection that she is just constantly weaving. And I know that every single one of you is holding the end of one of those threads.
And I thank you for that. The piece that I'm going to share today is by Arvo Pärt, who is a Estonian mystical composer, and it's basically a meditation. And I was hoping that we might take this time to sort of reflect on the collective thing that we're each holding, and what a blessing it is. The piece is called Mirror in the Mirror,
And it is constructed compositionally as an infinity mirror. There's a center point, which is pitch A, and then you're a step away, and a step away, and then 2 steps away, you return to center, 2 steps away to return to center, step away 3 times, you return to center, step away up, you return to center, and then it just keeps expanding and keeps returning. And I was on a CD for our hospice community in Ithaca, and this piece is on it. And I gave it to Mom and Dad for Christmas, and 9 or 10, something like that. And she said, "Oh, honey, I love your CD. I listen to it when I write. And what's the one that always stops me in my tracks? What track is that?" And I believe it was important. This is the one. So I hope it stops us all in our tracks to reflect on our mom for a few moments. My friend Kim is why they joined me on the piano. Thank you, Kim.
play that. We do it in our living room. I'm here to introduce both cops, who many of you know. And she's not able to be here today, but she graciously made us a video. Phyllis Cobbs is a treasure. As you probably know, Phyllis is one of the 5 founders of DONA, and married to the late great neonatologist, Dr. Marshall Cobbs. With a team of Cobbs and Cobbs became well known for the research, books, and publications collaborated in London. We used to tell people in my childbirth classes that the baby was right after birth, and then we got to see the scan. They had them to pay for it. Phyllis is a psychotherapist extraordinaire, and throughout her career has generously shared her incredible expertise with other mental health professionals, physicians, doulas, midwives, and childbirth educators. As a true expert in treating trauma-related disorders, Phyllis co-authored the landmark book, When Survivors Give Birth with Benny, which opened the door for advancing worldwide awareness about the incidence of childhood sexual abuse and its long-term effects on childbearing and beyond. Phyllis wanted me to tell you, she wanted to say thank you, Penny, for all that you've given us. The world is a better place because of you, my dear friend. Phyllis Cobbs. Is the video starting now? The video starting now? Phyllis Cobbs.
What's that?
Phyllis Cobbs.
Just repeating that.
I'm not sure what it is, but I guess we'll come back to it, right?
Is this a song?
Video of Phyllis Cobbs. It's a video. We'll try to come back. So, what do we have this next one? So our next speaker is Dr. Neil Shah. He's nothing short of a phenom, and we're so honored he's here today. And I can't list all of his many accomplishments and still give him time to speak, but I can name a few of the highlights. He's a visiting scientist and former professor of obstetrics, gynecology, and reproductive biology at Harvard. He won Humanitarian of the Year award from the March of Dimes for the impact he's made on maternal health in the United States. He's listed among the 40 smartest people in healthcare. That's he's going to be the first opinion. He has written and contributed to films, books, a zillion academic papers, and founded 3 independent nonprofits to improve healthcare for women. Currently, he's the executive and made the world's largest virtual clinic for women and families. It's a really neat website, go to it, which is on a global mission to address healthcare inequities. So, like Penny, you'll think big. And if you want more, you can Google him, but allow yourself some time because there are over 50,000 hits. Besides all of those accolades, he's a really nice guy, and Penny looked the world of him. In a note, Neil said, I, like so many others, have Penny as my North Star for the duration of my career. First as an obstetrician in training, and then as an academic physician, and even now, the Women's Health Technology Company. So here he is, and we're so glad to have him, Dr. Neil Shah.
This is an amazing community to look at. I was telling some Penny's family that I would have liked here if needed. I'm just so honored to be here. I want to say a little that she then systematized into the world for the people. That every conversation with Penny was like being doula. This way that she had her drawing ideas out of me. And I didn't know that she woke up at 5 a.m. and read papers, but I'm not surprised because, compared to keep up, that picture, that slideshow, reminded me, it was actually the last time I saw Penny in person. It was here in Seattle for the kickoff of the project at Evergreen Hospital, childbirth. Only a few months before Evergreen had the first COVID-19 ICU patient before the world kind of shut down. And I have no idea what we're talking about in the picture, but that intensity, I remember that feeling of I actually spent time with Penny maybe a dozen times in my whole life, but I felt in that moment and so many others like she knew me for my whole life. And I'm sure that's how you felt too. When I sort of think about my milestones professionally and personally, they all kind of meld together. I think if you work in childbirth, that's just the case. And Penny's part of many of them. That moment was, of course, the first time I ever, big one for me, and where I met many of you for the first time was at a birthday party, of course. And that was so meaningful to me because I got to understand her through the eyes of her family. And I also felt like I had been brought into the fold of this community that she forged and then anchored. And Penny was clearly a bit of an iconoclast, but so is like everybody in this room. I want to say something just really quickly about what I think the core lesson that I took from Penny, and how that shapes how I think about a world without Penny physically, but with all of us. Somewhere along the way, it occurred to me that medicine had gotten one of its most foundational principles a little bit wrong. Penny taught me that first do no harm doesn't mean that you put people under fluorescent lighting and tether them to a bunch of wires and sacrifice their experience in the name of safety. She taught me that, and actually was, safety is sort of primary, and then like as an obstetrician, experience with this is a secondary luxury that you get to after you've secured somebody. Right? And she taught me that I got exactly backwards. That by attending people's experiences, they make them safe. I think about that every day in my current job. I remember so a couple of years ago, I gave all my grants away, gave up my academic job, and decided to do something crazy, join a startup. I sent an email to Penny about it. I'm not sure if she totally understood what it is. I didn't really understand what it was doing. You can't deliver a baby through a screen. I didn't know what digital health was. I'm pretty sure, though, that if I had the opportunity to talk with her today about it, she'd be a couple steps ahead of me already. But the good thing that we made fun of is that we don't have a waiting room. We don't have a audience. So the only way you earn the opportunity to help you is by caring deeply about their experience. They're every day. I have conversations with her in my head. The other thing that I want to say, and I'll look forward to hearing from so many other people, is that we're living in this really odd moment in the United States and in the world. It's a really weird, odd moment. I think that whether people are in the Make America Great Again camp or the Build Back Better camp, both ideas are about generational progress. And this idea that people today feel like they're to just want to share my perspective. I think that the movement, I forget exactly the line in the song. I'll look it up later. But one of the lines seemed to capture Penny's mission beautifully. This idea of giving everybody the birth that they deserve. Right? That movement today feels about where the HIV/AIDS activism movement was in the late 1980s. I think that movement was the most successful movement in my lifetime. The social movements go. There's an author named Sarah Schulman, who I can't help you with that, I guess, but like she wrote a book. It's a poem. It's called "Let the Record Show." In it, she takes the oral history of all of these people who were there as part of ACT UP. Apparently, it was a really tough movement. Within the movement, there were the visible white men speaking on behalf of the movement, or people within the movement that didn't agree with them. One of the principles of the book was that you don't need consensus necessarily for progress. We need what she called a simultaneity of response. And that's what it feels like is happening now. It feels like there is a groundswell of community energy that has reached the highest places, including the White House. And much like the ACT UP movement, which got me passed and made it so that hospitals had to be accountable to communities, it feels like this movement is at a similar stage. And I think that's because of Penny. And I've heard a couple times today, it's the last thing I'll say, so I've got to correct my record on this. I've heard a couple times today that Penny influenced thousands of people. And like that's because of the humility of this group. And Penny influenced conservative people who are half-century career, tens of millions of people. And because of what I think will collectively continue to do together, it will be hundreds of millions in short order.
Chief of the Journal of Birth Issues in Perinatal Care, which most of us call the Birth Journal, because there's only one like it. Author and co-author of more than 60 peer-reviewed articles that look at cultural beliefs and clinical outcomes associated with newborn birth. And she directs a program called Uplift, a research and reproductive equity laboratory at Oregon State, where she serves as the primary investigator on more than 20 maternal and infant-related research projects.
2019, I got an email that asked if I could come to Kenny's 80th birthday celebration this week, and it gave me a number to call to find out more about it. So I called the number, and I think I thought, her secretary or someone would pick up, but she picked up, and she was like, "Hi, this is Penny Simkin." And I was kind of, stunned, and just, I couldn't believe I was going to talk to Penny Simkin. And because I paused, she said, "Let me tell you who I am." And she started to explain who she was. And I was like, does she think I don't know who she is? I knew she didn't need to explain who she was. I knew her well. So rewind 20 years in the late 1990s. I have two older sisters who are 13, 14 years older than me. They had a different father. My mother left an abusive relationship with him. Christmas Eve, she waited for him to drink too much, and she drove through the night with my two sisters and drove from New York to Florida, where she got into a PhD program that she wanted to start her life over. She met my dad there, and then my sister and I came, my other sister and I came along really soon after that. So there were 4 girls in my family. And my older sisters were so much older than me that I was still in high school when they started to give birth. And my oldest sister gave birth to her first baby, a 7-pound little boy, naturally with no medication. I was so proud of that experience. And then with her second birth, they induced her. She had one of those kind of classic failed inductions that went to a cesarean. And in those days, they were prescribing really high levels of pain medication afterward. And from that moment, she became addicted to pain medication. We spent lots of time in and out of rehab and relapsing, and eventually lost custody of her children. My next sister and mine always said I would never have children, and I kind of understood that and kind of felt the same way. And then when she was 35, she found herself pregnant with twins unexpectedly. She gave birth to the first one vaginally, and the second one didn't come within 10 minutes, and so that one was born by cesarean. She had postpartum psychosis that went undiagnosed for a few years. And then when my twin nieces and nephews were very young, she either intentionally or accidentally overdosed. And I was actually trained to be a midwife at that point, and it was my friends from that time there. And that was my quest to try to find a way for us to do better for women. And in my sister's case, well, my oldest sister who still lives, it led to a social death where she suffered that primal wound of being separated from her children and still struggles with addiction. And my other sister lost her actual life. And I thought, how can this happen in a middle-class white family with both parents having PhDs? How much more work do we need to do for those communities made vulnerable by system oppression? Like my family can't achieve the bare minimum of surviving childbirth. What about everyone else, that I've had the pleasure to work with for a long time? And it really resonated one time when I heard you say that at the end of your birth, not being dead is before, not the ceiling of what we're trying to achieve in healthcare. Soon after my second sister's birth, I found the birth partner, and I still have my original version. It's one of the really old ones. It's a painting blue. It's half the size of the current one. And I read that, and then I read When Survivors Give Birth. And from my family to put together that history of trauma and the way that it worked out into my sister's life. And then also to see that he was proposing some kind of solution that by treating every baby as a sentient being and every birthing person as though this experience matters. At this time, when they're giving birth, at the time that they're transformed into a parent, that it will go forward to do the hardest job there is in the world. So certainly we have to do better than making sure you're not injured from our trying to do so much. She asked me to be her midwife. And that birth was transformative for all of us. My nephew was born into tender, gentle, loving hands, and so much of that trauma that my family had experienced began to shift and move and turn around and transform. I just had the chance to spend 2 weeks with that now 24-year-old who told me the story that when he came up to kindergarten, he thought auntie meant the person who first touched your head. Something in her, it's like, no, silly, auntie is your sister's sister, or your mother's sister. So he spent a lot of his life thinking that's what auntie meant. So I've been a midwife and doula for over 20 years and had the opportunity to do all kinds of work in this field. And fast forward now to 2023, I get another email from Penny. And it says that she's trying to find someone to be a co-author on the birth partner, that she wants to do a 6th edition, but she wants someone to have who can do most of the research because she doesn't want to have to do that at this point. I thought to myself, okay, why don't I have to say, what about me? So I decided I better just go ahead and do that. And so I said, what about me, Penny? And she went back and said, yes, that she would love that, and we started what was just a beautiful relationship of going back and forth through multiple versions of that book together. She came to visit me in Corvallis, and I took her to the community doula program, which is one of those projects that I run, and it's in a building called the Monarch House. And the idea is if you get through these doors, we wrap our arms around you, we love you, we give you everything you need to be successful as a parent, because we want to stop that kind of wound of separation when mothers have to give up their babies. And so women who have substance use disorder come in, they find a doula who's also trained as a peer support specialist, and we think this is the time when you're most likely to make that transformation. So let's give you everything we need to find that. And you know, on the back of the building there's a beautiful monarch butterfly that someone has painted on there. And we have people go out there and write on the back wall, and he signed this wall. And there was a picture of Penny right in there. I don't know if you noticed that I was doing this. So excited to have her there. And so she signed the wall, and I was going to read you what she wrote. She said, when the monarchs fly, the whole world benefits. You are inspiration. And he said, there I might go and look at that spot on the wall so frequently. So as Penny and I email back and forth for that 6th edition, the day we finished the book, she had her diagnosis of pancreatic cancer. And I'm so grateful that I was able to be a part of that final legacy and dream that she really had. Another one that she told me about, she always hoped to have the book translated into Spanish. And then a few days before she passed, we finalized a deal to make that happen as well. So I feel like the universe gave me such a gift that and the opportunity to take this work forward, and I will certainly do my very, very best to do that. I'm so grateful to have been part of those dreams and those final contributions. So I think what I want to leave you with is to say that I was going to say my story is one of many thousands of others, but I know it's one of many millions of others. So it's a transformation and a reminder of what a person with dragons signify this indomitable female spirit of beauty and joy and love and caring. And every once in a while, this little woman is so full of that spirit that she dragons as a bird. She becomes a dragon and flies out into the heavens. And as I was laying there last night, I thought, well, I really think of Penny as a dragon. And so I said, I haven't read, I still have 70 pages to read, but I'm going to end the book and see how the book ends. And see if that tells us something that maybe I can share with you today. So I'm going to end with the words at the very end of the book, which are exactly what I love to say about Penny. So I'm going to ask you just to close your eyes for a second. And let's reach the last paragraph. It says, birds circle overhead, dragons too, beautiful things. There is so much beauty. Nearby dog barks, nearby the wind comes. I close my eyes and listen to the drone of cicadas, calling to one another from tree to tree to tree. Memory is a strange thing. It reorganizes and remixes. It provides context and clarity, where it removes patterns and divergences. It finds holes and universe and stitches and closed, tying the threads together in a tight, unbreakable knot. I remember this from your letter. You know, you heard what music her mom was. She always had a song in her head and she was listening all the time. In the last few years or so of her life, it was this tune that she was listening all the time. She loved it. I've been playing it for years and I played it for her in these last weeks. And she opened my eyes and took my hand and said, "Honey, if you do anything for me after I die, you have to go back to me." So, that is her mom. I just have to introduce me to your dear friend, Cliff. I've been playing music with Cliff for probably going on 40 years. He's been a dear, dear friend and a musical mentor.
She started when she was 30.
I few years ago, I was in Seattle. I went out to dinner with Lenny, my husband. That was the first time I met her. Through the course of dinner, he asked a burning question that usually is one of the words behind this. And we would listen how this start between the two. And he and I looked at each other and said, and jokingly she said, I'm old and I lose my memory, which was excuse. We do remember that it was at a DONA conference. And we think it was 98 or 99, maybe 2000. And we also think that it was before. I remember my daughter was off to college. So I had the opportunity to change careers to this new fascinating world of maternal health. I had just gotten a massage therapy license and I focused on prenatal massage. I had gotten a Vermont certification, so I was taking that as childhood education. And now I wanted to round it out with doula. I recall Penny sat next to me at a session at the conference. At the end of that session, she commented on how good the speaker was. And she just let me smile. I remember asking her a question. I don't remember what that question was, but I remember the manner in which she answered. Her answer was intense and impactful. I immediately knew that she opened the door to a new world for me. As usual, people had gathered around her to ask questions and to take photos. I still got pushed aside. As everyone was headed back to their next session, I asked her if it was possible I could call her so we could talk some more. Without hesitation, she gave me her number. I didn't want to seem too anxious and call at night. So I waited about a week before I called her. To my surprise, she remembered me. And our short conversation. That phone call lasted about an hour. We talked like we were old friends. Not everyone will allow you inside their head to pick their brain and to share their professional journey, at least without a consultation fee. As time went on, Penny not only allowed me into her world, but she welcomed me into her heart and into her family. I looked at her as someone who was wise, far beyond her years. And for me, more importantly, I revered her as a supportive, caring, I love you no matter what elder that I no longer had in my family. It was like she was my doula. Some of our conversations were funny. Occasionally they bordered on hilarious and ridiculous. Some were very serious, but either way, she was Simkin Center. They always started with an East Coast, West Coast girlfriend-like talk. So what's new with you, she would say. And it always ended with, it's going to be okay, you got this. It always felt like a warm virtual hug, before virtual was in. She stood by me in many of my life celebrations and challenges. She knew all of my days. She also knew all of my woes. Friendship woes, relationship woes, business woes. We spoke at least once or twice a week about most everything on her. I was very excited when she would ask me a question and she needed help with. Like you, I thought she needs my help, okay? But the one thing Penny struggled with, and the one thing we talked about a lot was the cultural aspect that was missing as she and her colleagues formed them. She held a lot of guilt for not including or having consideration for people of color. When she learned that Black and brown people saw DONA as a white-owned, white-led organization for white people with means to have a private doula that sad. She would say that's not the path or the vision that I have for DONA. While she realized she had no choice but to accept ownership of the path that Donna took over the years. She wanted to make sure I understood she regrets not being more actively involved to do something like that. She didn't want that perception. She said, I guess I got caught up in doing success. I would say, it is what it is. You can't go back and change it. But it can change moving forward. It will be hard. There will be pushback. Not everybody likes change. And you go and fix it, some people would say. But that's the problem that was broken. The times have changed and Donna has changed with it. And she would just shake her head, yes. She was very happy to find new leadership. Because finally realized that Donna had consciously and unconsciously excluded her whole community. A community that needed to do is just as much, if not more. I might not know, but less than 6% of doctors, midwives, and nurses in the United States are Black. And it appears that Donna was on par with those numbers. Donna had now had action plans to step outside of their comfort zone. They revised their value statement and advocacy efforts to include diversity, equity, and inclusion. There were initiatives for both the doulas and for the families that they support. About 3 years ago, I started receiving requests to speak at conferences and events. I remember telling him this is all new to me. I'm shaking my boots thinking about speaking in front of a crowd. You know, listen, she would say. For the first 2 minutes or so, it would just flow. But you remember these. You remember to include everyone, no matter what your holiness looks like. If your holiness looks like me, that's your opportunity to educate them on things that affect people that look like you. So how do I get over the nervousness, Penny? She said, after more than 50 years of doing this, I still get nervous. I don't know that for a second. I said, you can do this in your suit. She kindly said, in that motherly voice, you can too. I always admired Penny's humbleness. She never thought she was worthy of the fame, the attention or admiration that she received. She never realized she was overly understood in that, but she had so many. When I first started at UNC Family Medicine, I was amazed. I saw her work with her partner on the physician's shelf. And then I saw another one on the LD floor at the nurse station. And then I saw the progress handbook at the residence call room. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to tell her. And it was like she had crossed over in music genres from heavy metal to country. She said, so, do you think they actually use what's in it? As they just stand in their seat looking at me like this.
our race, our culture, our friendship, our friends, and our coast. But please understand our friendship was more than surface deep. As it will, if you are able to do this, you know, with a doula relationship, I think they can get clients tell their doulas, they didn't tell their providers. Say, I didn't pay. She was my life to our family. I thank you so much for sharing her with me. I know in the beginning, and I'm sure that you felt the same thoughts and concerns everybody else had when you saw it. But as time went on, I think you realized that I loved her as a mother, a grandmother that I never had. Thank you for allowing me to be part of her life. And she and I. Earlier, as Kathy talked about my accomplishments, well, those accomplishments mean nothing if it doesn't impact others. I can only hope that my accomplishments and my work will leave an impact and legacy after I'm gone. I would be grateful if that impact was only 1/4 of what Penny has touched. I miss my people, and I truly miss my family.
Mothers in the community in South Central Los Angeles. came from labor, we would begin skin to skin and initiate breastfeeding. And we were having a hospital whose breastfeeding rate was 1%. So I remember meeting Penny, because Penny had a talk on breastfeeding. And her talk was related to her work with daughters give birth. And I was so impressed in how Penny broke down breastfeeding support to women who have been traumatized and sexually abused, and the way that she broke it down. I'm an education consultant. I did my training at UC San Diego. And the way that she broke it down, I'm going, I knew that when I worked with Mona Stan, we would talk about permission to touch the breast or permission to touch the baby, right? We talk about compassionate care, or the way that Penny put that into that space. Lo and behold, I would be here. And being the director of the Simkin Center since 2018. So it's truly an honor to be here today to speak about Penny. And her legacy, but for me would be the profound impact on childbirth education and support. And I want to focus on how the Simkin Center for Allied Birth Vocations continues that legacy. And something that I feel very privileged to be part of.
So, as Dr. Bird touched earlier during the welcome, in 2009, the Seattle Midway School merged with Boston University.
Any other public health specialist seeking to make a real impact transforming maternal child health system, truly embodying one of Penny's many incredible visions for our future. Our program, the Simkin Center, prepares anyone in our communities who want to do this work, to empower individuals and families through evidence-based practice and compassionate care. That is the name of our program, after Penny Simkin. The Simkin Center marked a turning point in expanding Penny's work, and today it allows us to reach even more people with her teaching. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge the incredible Simkin instructors. I see a couple. They're the ones who continue Penny's legacy day in and day out, creating a supportive and compassionate learning environment for our students. At the Simkin Center, every doula and childbirth educator class starts by laying down a strong foundation. On day one, I could show you the curriculum. We focus on standards of practice and a commitment to fostering an anti-racist work environment. This is how we begin every training, ensuring that these core values guide everything that we do moving forward. This is really the true step, the first step in becoming a skilled doula. A doula, a childbirth educator who truly advocates for health equity, for birthing and postpartum individuals, their infant, and our families. Our Simkin instructors provide a roadmap, helping students understand how historical events have shaped the health inequities we face today. This is crucial work. So in every class confirmation, we include a message at the very end of that confirmation email. And it says the following: we doula our students.
let us know how we can support you. And we mean that sincerely. Many students tell us that their training was transformative and deeply fulfilling. When they step into the roles, they do so with a strong sense of purpose and commitment. Purpose and commitment is what truly defines this work. Our core mission is to provide compassionate and respectful care to families. This is central to everything that we do. Our doulas and our childbirth educators make a significant impact, even when the work can be challenging and demanding. Despite these challenges, their dedication to compassionate care remains unwavering. Our mission and our anti-racist statement guide us in creating an inclusive and welcoming learning environment. Our students come from all walks of life and work experiences. Some have never had any experience with birth for babies, while others are experienced in the field. But all of them are here for the same reason, to make a difference in their communities. At the start of every training, the instructors do a group activity, asking the students, what brought you here? Why are you here? And the responses are inspiring and thought-provoking. At the end of the training, they leave feeling empowered and confident, ready to take on the responsibility of supporting all families. Penny's work, along with our training, transforms lives. A couple of weeks ago, I asked the Simkin instructors to share their thoughts about the Simkin Center and Penny. Kim James, one of our birth doula instructors, remembered a conversation with Penny where Penny said, "I'm trying to leave footprints for others to follow." And that's exactly what Penny has done. These footprints are the foundation of the Simkin Center, and they guide everything we do as we support the next generation of birth professionals taking their first step into this work. So this is how the Simkin Center, we continue to honor Penny's vision every day. We contribute Penny's commitment to evidence-based care, compassionate support, and practical skills that make a real difference. We offer professional development to ensure that our students keep growing as they believe in lifelong learning. Our courses are comprehensive, covering both foundational and advanced topics that reflects Penny's philosophy. I also want to acknowledge Selena Shelley for taking on the mantle to continue with Penny's training when survivors give birth. A program developed by Penny in collaboration with Phyllis Klaus to provide skills and resources to birth professionals providing trauma-informed care during pregnancy, labor, and postpartum. We're dedicated to promoting health equity and inclusivity in all our programs, ensuring that our work reaches all families, regardless of background, sexual orientation, abilities, or beliefs. I want to use this opportunity to address a crisis that needs attention. Maternity and perinatal healthcare deserts. These are areas where maternal and perinatal health services are limited or non-existent. This is a serious issue, especially in rural and underserved areas, leading to poor health outcomes for both mothers and their infant. Many rural regions and underserved communities lack nearby hospitals, birthing centers, causing dangerous delays in care. There's a shortage of perinatal health professionals, like obstetricians and midwives in these areas, with limited prenatal and postpartum care. And on top of that, economic and social factors, like transportation or financial burdens, which makes things even harder for families in these communities. This is where doulas come in. Doulas play a crucial role in bridging the gap in care. They provide education, emotional support, and advocacy. Research has shown having a doula improves outcomes for both mothers and babies. In regions with limited healthcare access, doulas can make a life-saving difference. Some doulas may even be inspired to pursue careers as midwives or obstetricians, creating a pipeline to help increase the availability of diverse and culturally matched providers. We can't stop here. We must continue to improve access to high-quality perinatal care. This means expanding healthcare facilities, training more professionals, strengthening support networks in areas that is needed the most, supporting and empowering local doula networks to ensure that every family, no matter where they live, receive the care they deserve. In conclusion, Penny's legacy will continue to inspire us all. Her footprints are everywhere, guiding us on our program as we move forward. As we carry on her work, I know that we will continue to make a lasting impact on families, birth professionals, and the future of perinatal care.
Hi again. Our friend Sandy here, you might have seen in the slideshow, goes all the way back and all the way to the end. She was feeling like her name could be Constance as far as our family is concerned. She has just been, we can't really remember her not coming in that back door. We never really knew if she was there or not because she often was. and she gifted us with serving as mom's death doula. And it was just incredible to have that support for us. Even primarily just to be able to sleep deeply as we were going through these 3.5 weeks, and that's the floor, and she dropped the ceiling. So, thank you.
She understood
Yeah, we'll watch for singing. You teach first, and we'll get to sing along together.
Okay, everyone, let's try DONA International.
Oh.
And Lee will give us a note. Does everybody try to get that note? Yes, stay with that. And here we go.
Wonderful, that sounded great. I should remind you that those of you who have perfect pitch, we're singing this in the key of C, not in the key of F as you see it on your music. My musician daughter asked me to announce that. So this time we'll try it as a round. I will start with group number 1, and then Lizzie will chime in with group number 2, and Lee will take group number 3. And we'll go through twice, so let's all do it together 2 times through. Okay, I'll start.
the option is on your those, yeah. And there's Penny's Great Witch, that there are a collection of treasured things we auctioned off and donated to unwavering charities. So you can get a piece of Penny and help on her, one of her beloved charities. As we come to the end of our celebration of Penny's life and work, I want to take you back to the beginning of this service when we sang the Penny song. And the refrain poignantly asked, "Penny has left us. What are we supposed to do now?" And then in the last sequence, she answered it. And by saying, by keeping her vision alive. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep the vision of the spirit alive by finding a way to carry on the things that Penny cared most about, each of us in our own way. Whether it be through music, or being an advocate for birthing families, or being a good steward for the environment, or a champion of social justice, or simply a model of kindness and compassion to those around us. That's how we will ensure that Penny's